But let's move away from listening, and let's move away from customer intimacy, and let's go to the second and final key thing I want to talk about, and that's customer satisfaction. It's a key buzz phrase today, customer satisfaction. We have to make sure that when somebody does business with us, that they are satisfied. And it requires us doing a couple of things, two things. Number one, making sure that we manage and monitor the customer's expectations. And number two, making sure that if a problem does come up, we resolve it, we recover. Those are the two key steps. Manage and monitor expectations, recover when we make a mistake. Let me talk about each one. Manage and monitor expectations. I believe that what we need to do if we want to create apostles is that we need to clearly identify what a customer's expectations are for doing business with us, and then do everything we can to exceed those expectations. Now, we've all heard of exceeding a customer's expectations. When you exceed a customer's expectations, I call that a moment of magic. When you fall short of a customer's expectations, that is a moment of misery. And we have all experienced moments of magic and moments of misery. And sometimes it's because the person who is selling us or the company that we're buying from doesn't clearly understand our expectations, or they do their best job, but they miss our expectations. See, if somebody's expectations are too high, nobody could live up to them. If they're too low, anybody can meet them, even our competitors. What we need to do is manage the expectations. I'm sure you've all had the experience, as I have, where somebody came back from a new restaurant, raving about this. The best restaurant in the world, best meal I ever had. That ever happen? Yeah. And then you go there. So where's your expectations now? Up here. Expectations are up here. You go there, and by the way, most of the restaurants in your area hit right here. All right? Your expectations are up here. This new restaurant hits here, way above any other restaurant. However, the problem is what? It's still short of your expectations. And you tend to walk out saying, I got to admit, it was a very good meal. But the best ever? No. And that's what happens when people have too high expectations. No matter how well you do, even better than anybody else has ever done for you, if your expectations are too high, nobody will meet them. If they're too low, anybody. Anybody. But the key is to know what the expectations are. Not just use lip service and say we have to exceed expectations. What are the expectations? Clearly understand them, and then you have a target to shoot at. Years ago, in the early days of my speaking career, when I was hungry, I would do anything. I would speak on any subject. Physics? Yeah, give me 2 days. I'll talk on it. And I'm serious, anything, I'll talk on it. Guy calls me up. He said, I came across a piece of literature about you. Is this the Tony Alessandra that speaks on listening? This was years ago, back in the 70s. And I said, yeah. He says, great. Boy, I'll tell you, I've been looking around for you. He says, I want you to do a seminar, 2-day seminar on listening. Well, I couldn't do a 2-day seminar. He said, can you do it? I said, when were you thinking of having it? It was about 3 months from now. I said, sure, I can do it. Give me 2 months, 3 months, I can learn it. I'll do it. He said, all right, here's the dates I need you. Are you open? I looked at my calendar. In those days, it all was open. But you can't let him know that, can you? I said, well, let me check my calendar. I can move a couple of things around. I can do it. Yeah, I'll move around. Here, I'll move around like this. Yeah, now I can do it, right? So, He's going through this whole thing, details, the program's going to be here, you know, can you get in the night before? And then the big question, how much do you charge? Well, back in those days, I said to him, what's your budget? And I could not believe this. Talk about karma. His budget and what I charged were the same. I couldn't believe this. Talk about one of these easy sales. This guy did all the closing. At the end of it, he said, okay, let me get this straight. This is what's going to happen. You're going to do a 2-day seminar on listening. Here's the city. You're going to check into this hotel the night before. The program's from 8 to 5 each day. This is your fee. I give you 50% up front and 50% at the end of the program. Is that it? I said, yeah. He says, great. We'll see you the night before. And he's getting ready to hang up. How would you rate that sale on a scale from 1 to 10? A 9? 10? I mean, that was about as easy as they get, isn't it? But we have a problem here. What does he want me to do? I know he wants me to do a 2-day program on listening, but what's his expectations? I didn't know, but see, I teach this. So before the guy hangs up the phone, I said, oh, wait. Do you mind if I ask you a question? I said, Mike, you want me to come in and do a 2-day program on listening. Why a program on listening for this particular group of people? What's your objective for me, the end result you want me to accomplish? Good question? It lost me the sale. It did. Because the guy said, I'm glad you asked. By the way, the program was for 20 people in this company. 20 people. He said, I'm glad you asked. We have this vice president, person who was just promoted to vice president. This guy's the worst listener in the world. And because now he's vice president, he has to deal with a lot more people, not just internally, but externally too. And this guy cannot listen at all. And I said, well, tell me about it. What does he do or doesn't do? He said, this vice president has the strangest listening problem. He hears exactly the opposite of what you tell him. You tell him right, he hears left. You tell him up, he hears down. You tell him yes, he hears no. I said, is this guy a pretty nasty guy? No, said this other person. He is the nicest guy in the world. He hears things exactly the opposite. I never heard of that before. Have you? I said, you know what it sounds like? Listening dyslexia. He said, you know, you're right. I said, wait a second. You told me all this stuff about this guy. I'm doing a program for 20 people. What about the other 19? He said, oh, we're just throwing them in to cover it up. I said, whoa, wait a second. Let me get this straight. If I come in and do this program and 19 people give me a 10 on a scale from 1 to 10, the best they've ever experienced, but I do not help this person, how would you rate my program on a scale from 1 to 10? He said 0. And he also said I'd want my money back. I said, but what if I come in and those 19 people give me a 0? The worst waste of time they've ever experienced, but I help this other person. How would you rate the seminar on a scale from 1 to 10? He said a 10. I said, you know, I got to tell you, I'm a trainer. I can teach people how to listen better, but they first have to be able to hear. And I can solve a lot of problems, and I can help a lot of people. I can help those 19 people, but this one particular person, I believe, has a learning disability. And as a result, that's not me. And he thanked me profusely, and I turned down the business, but I had to do it because of what his expectations were and what I did. Now, I'll tell you, if I didn't know his expectations, I could have gone in and on those 2 days did the best listening program of my life, and I would have failed. So it had nothing to do with the product. It had to do with his expectations. Absolutely crucial. Make sure that you understand the customer's expectations. Make sure also that you understand what moments of magic and moments of misery are. A few years ago, one of my colleagues called me on a Sunday morning. He was sick, and he wanted me to fill in for him on a Tuesday. 2 days. I looked at my calendar, I was open, and we do this a lot for each other. And I said, all right, I'll do it. I immediately called up one of the top 3 airlines in the United States. And I asked for the fare and a reservation to fly from point A to point B. It was a short flight. I couldn't believe the fare. They told me the fare was $450. I said, $450? Give me a break. Come on, there's got to be a better fare. Look for one. So the reservation agent looked, said, oh, I found one, $169. I said, sold. I want it. She said, oh, wait, there's 2 restrictions. I said, isn't there always? I said, what are they? She said, number 1, it's non-refundable. I said, no problem. Today's Sunday. I'm going on Tuesday. I said, what's the other one? She said, it's a 3-day advance purchase. I said, what are you telling me this for? She said, what do you mean? I said, I don't qualify. She said, yes, you do. I said, how? She said, today's Sunday, day 1. Tomorrow's Monday, day 2. Tuesday's day 3. That's 3 days. I said, hey, if that's the way you count, book it. I want it. Well, she books the flight. At the end, she said, would you like me to mail you the ticket? Should have known there was going to be a problem on this one. Next day, bright and early, call my travel agent, asked her to ticket it and get the ticket over to me. She calls me right back, said, Tony, there's a problem. The airline wants you to call them. I call the airline, give them my reservation number. They pull up my reservation. The woman says, oh, I see the problem. I said, the problem? She said, yes, we quoted you the wrong fare yesterday. We quoted you $169. The actual fare is $450. I said, and? So? She said, you're going to have to pay $450. I said, uh-uh. I said, does it say your person quoted me $169? She said, yes, it does, sir. I said, well, what I'm hearing is that your person made a mistake, but I'm going to be punished. Is that what I'm hearing? She said, well, if you put it that way. I said, no way. Absolutely no way. You quoted me $169. I'm paying $169. That's that. My New York started coming out here. And I think I intimidated her a little because she said, sir? I said, what? She said, sir, do you have the ticket in front of you? I said, no. She said, well, then you're paying $450. Whoa. I said, let me speak to your supervisor. She said, okay. Puts me on hold. 7 minutes later, the supervisor gets on the phone. Supervisor answers the phone like this. Yeah? I said, is this a supervisor? She said, yeah, what do you want? I said, are you familiar with my situation? She said, yeah, I'm very familiar, and I want to tell you that we are disgusted with people like you trying to cheat this airline, and she goes off on this whole thing. How many people would be a bit angry about now? I was furious. I said, let me speak to your supervisor. She said, I don't have one. I said, I don't believe that. This is a major U.S. airline. Give me the person that you report to at this location. She said, I don't report to anybody at this location. I said, all right, give me the name of the person you report to at another location. She said, I don't report to anybody. I said, all right, I'm not going to argue with you. Do me a favor, just give me the phone number of corporate. I'm going to call up and handle this. She said, it won't do you any good. I said, hey, you don't know me. Give me the number, I'll handle it. She said, it won't do you any good. I said, why not? She said, they won't answer the phone. And she was dead serious. I finally got her to give me the number, and as she gave me the number, her parting words were, I'm telling you, they're not going to answer the phone, and I guarantee you, you're going to pay $450. Click. Now that's what I call a moment of misery. A moment of misery. Contrast that with their major competitor. I book a flight to Orlando for a speech. Little did I know, that my 13-year-old daughter overheard the conversation. And of course, when a 13-year-old hears reservations to Orlando, are they thinking speech? No. Now, if you have 2 or more kids, you can appreciate this. We had 4 kids sitting at the table for dinner that night. I knew something was up because the kids are looking at each other like this. Well, I picked it up like this. I said, all right, what's going on? What's the secret? They all look at my 13-year-old, Jessica. And Jessica says, Dad, we decided where our family vacation is going to be next year. I said, great, it's about time that you're taking responsibility for this. Where are we going? She said, Orlando. I said, Orlando? Give me a break. We live in San Diego. Orlando's the other part of the country. We got 6 people that have to go over there. Why Orlando? She said, Orlando, Disneyland, Disney World. I said, hey, we'll just drive up the coast, Disney World, Disneyland, Disney World, Disney. I get them all confused, but it's only up the coast. She said, no, Dad, you have to understand. It's not just Disney World in Orlando. It's Epcot. And Epcot, with all the educational. Could this kid sell? I said, but Jessica, come on, give me a break. There's 6 people here. I said, do you know how much money this is going to cost me? She said, yes. I said, yes. You know how much it costs to fly from San Diego to Orlando? She said, yes, I do. I said, oh. I stood up. I said, well, why don't you tell me, Miss Travel Agent? You know how you get this indignant? Why don't you tell me how much it costs to fly from San Diego to Orlando? And she smiled and said, 25,000 frequent flyer miles. She said, and Dad, Mom got your last statement. I said, all right, give it to me. I'll call up. I called up the airline. They went through hoops to get me 6 seats, 5 of them free. Kids were excited. It was building up, this energy, this excitement. A week before, the airline calls me. Says, Mr. Alessandro, we have a little problem. We were on a DC-10. We've changed the aircraft. We can't fit all your family on this particular flight. I said, you're going to tell them, not me. She said, Mr. Alessandro, what I've done is I've taken the liberty to put you on another flight. And she told me the flight, and it actually was a better connection for me. She said, now, Mr. Alessandro, we're so sorry that we did this to you, and we want to make it up to you. And we've been talking around here what we can do to make this up to you. Would it be okay if we upgraded your entire family to first class round trip? I said, I'm going to have to think about that. I don't know. I'll tell you, we went, had a great time. This is a moment of magic. And we tend to do business with companies that create more moments of magic than moments of misery. But every so often, no matter how good we are, we create a moment of misery. So what we need to do is recover. Turn a moment of misery into a moment of magic. And it's not easy. So I called that number. And I got a voicemail system from hell. If you want so-and-so, press 1. So-and-so, press 2. So nobody did answer. It was the voicemail. And this was the weirdest system. Because every time, sometimes you press 0 and you circumvent the system. This one, if you press 0, you went back to 1. I picked it up on the 3rd try and finally waited it out until they said, if you want customer service, press 13. Tell you a little bit about that company. So I pressed 13. Somebody answered, said, hi, this is Sue from customer service. How can I help you? I said, Sue, I got a person. I don't believe it. She said, yeah. Can I help you? I said, yes, Sue, I got to tell you. I got a big problem, and I wonder if you can help me with it. She said, I'd be more than happy to. So I told her the problem, and she is empathizing with me. I can't believe we did that to you. Oh, I am so sorry that we did that. We went through this whole thing. And at the end, she said, Mr. Alessandro, I am so sorry. I can solve your problem one of two ways. You tell me which way you want me to do it. So the first way, easiest. I can go, actually it wasn't the easiest, but she said, you know, it's exactly what you want. I'll go to the powers that be and try to get them to okay this $169 fare. She said, I actually don't have authority. I'm not empowered to do that. But I'll go fight on your behalf. I said, well, what's the other option? The other option, she said, I can do right now. Pay the $450. And I will give you a travel voucher for the difference between $450 and $169. I'll give you a $281 travel voucher that you can use anytime on our airline. She said, but you know, you've been through a lot. And I don't think $281 will even get us even. She said, how about if I add another $300? I'll give you a $581 travel voucher. She said, Mr. Alessandro, which of the two options do you want me to pursue on your behalf? Well, let's see, $581. So I took the voucher. And what did it force me to do? Travel with them again. And have another moment of misery. I can't believe this airline. I'll tell you, when somebody has a problem, real simple, the first thing you fix is the person. Then fix the problem. But fix the person first. Just listen to them. Get them to vent. Let them get it out. You know, it was interesting what that airline did. It gave me options. It empowered its people to be creative. And I'll tell you, creativity is very, very, very important. But I think if we want to create more customer retention and customer intimacy, we have to make sure that the people who work with us are empowered. And what does empowerment mean? But giving power to people. Letting them make some of the decisions on the spot to do whatever it takes to resolve the problem. Empowerment is a key buzz phrase today, but it is absolutely crucial. More and more people are getting empowered. Sometimes when people have not been empowered or have not had power their whole working career, maybe even their whole life, when you initially give them power, when you empower them, it goes to their head. Sometimes they abuse it. Sometimes they don't know what to do. They give too much away. Let me end with this one story on empowerment. This one airline empowered all its employees, everybody, pilots, flight attendants, reservation agents, ticket counter, check-in counter, baggage handlers. Many of them use this empowerment incredibly well. Some of them didn't know what to do with it and sometimes went a little overboard. And the story that many of you probably have heard over the years was this elderly woman who was traveling this airline after everybody had been empowered. She was traveling from Los Angeles to Miami with a change of planes in Atlanta. She packed all of her stuff. Evidently, she was going on a very lengthy trip, and one of the things that she checked in was her dog cage. Plane lands in Atlanta. All the baggage comes off. The pet cage comes off. And as is the case with most airlines, they always check to make sure there's appropriate food and water. As they checked for food and water, the ultimate moment of misery. The dog was dead. Now think about that. This is a true moment of misery. You're empowered. You're the baggage handlers. What do? Can you turn it into a moment of magic? Is it even possible? Well, they did in fact start talking about it. What do? One person said, hey, let's tell her now. Another person said, hey, come on, spoil the person's trip. Another person said, well, I'll tell you what, let's just put the dog back in, let Miami tell her. Yeah, that's good, that's good. But one person said, you're not going to believe this. I was just at the pet store with my kid the other day. They had a dog, could be the twin. They said, how far is the pet store? He said, it's about a mile down the road. They all looked at each other. Should we? Could we? They said, look, you go get it, see if you can get back in time, and then we'll make the decision. The guy comes back, they look at the two dogs. They are twins. They say, let's do it. They put the dog, new dog, in the cage, put it on the connecting flight to Miami. They're high-fiving each other because I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, they did not turn a moment of misery into a moment of magic. They turned a moment of misery into a miracle. Is that creativity? Is that empowerment? There was a problem, though. How many of you have pets? Can I see your hands? Pets? All right. They did not, because of the speed of doing this, did not even check the sex of the dogs. The plane lands in Miami, luggage comes off, the dog cage comes off. The woman opens the dog cage. She is screaming at the top of her lungs, my dog, my dog. She is just going crazy. Well, I mean, this caused a real commotion. The baggage manager has to run out and say, what is wrong? She said, oh, my dog, I don't believe it, my dog. He said, what is wrong with your dog? She said, when I checked it in Los Angeles, it was dead. Thank you.